What is going on, guys? Well, welcome back to another episode of Rare Games with your host, as always, K-Mac Time. Today we're going to talk about the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or the Famicom. Very, very cool system. This system was released November 21st, 1990 in Japan as the Super Famicom, and later in August 1991 in North America as a Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And it had over 775 games developed for the North American system. Some estimates put it over 1,500 if you include Famicom games and other games that were unreleased in North America. But let's go ahead and jump into some of the rarest and most expensive games to date. Start off with Harvest Moon, which is a very cool game, and a lot of these Harvest Moon games I've been on the list on previous systems I've done videos on. They seem to be a cult classic and always hold their price very well. You can pick up a used copy of Harvest Moon for around $100. If it's new in box, it'll run you about $600. Our next game is the Aero Fighters game, which is a jet fighter game developed in the early 1990s for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Super rare, did not sell very well, kind of based loosely around the Top Gun, I kind of believe. I'm not sure on that. But you can pick up a used copy of this for around $100. Again, new in box, run you a couple $100, but it's pretty rare. You don't see these selling very often. Our next game is Castlevania Dracula X, which is a super rare game, and it's kind of a fan favorite game, actually. Kind of got bad reviews from the fans, but anyway, a new copy can run you $120. And a used copy, and a new copy can run you as much as $500 new in box. Very rare game indeed. Next up is Noah's Ark 3D, which is an unlicensed game for the Super Nintendo, which means Nintendo did not approve of its release. The developed team from WisdomTree sold this only in Christian bookstores, and the gameplay is very similar to Wolfenstein 3D, but non-violent, which is kind of weird. Because the game was unlicensed and never sold in typical game stores, it is very rare to find today, and it will run you somewhere between $120 to $300, depending on if it's new or used. Next up on the list is Ninja Gaiden Trilogy, which includes Ninja Gaiden 1, 2, and 3 on the same cartridge. All three of these games were released for the original Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES, but because all these three games were already out on the NES, the three versions of them on one disc did not sell very well, making this game pretty rare. Going to run you about $90 to $150 used and up to $300 new in box. Next up on the list is Hagani: The Final Conflict. Now, this game is a side-scrolling action game which was super similar to the Ninja Gaiden series. The gameplay, however, is extremely difficult, and it does not have the feature to save, so you have to beat the game in one sitting. On top of that, this game was only available at Blockbuster stores, so not many copies were produced, making this game very sought after, very rare for people's collections. A new in-box price can be up to $1,000, and a used price with booklet can be up to $200. Our next game is Super Turrican 2, which is an action game very similar to Contra. This game was released during Christmas 1995, near the end of the Super Nintendo's life. The N64 was coming out very soon. Because it was released so late in the console's life, it did not sell that well, making this game well regarded by all collectors. The game has been released on the Wii Virtual Console in 2008, but resale prices have still sold pretty high. You get a used copy of this game for around $200 and a new in-box around $600 to $700. Next up is Earthbound, which is a cult classic RPG for Super Nintendo. It's a very devoted fan following. Go great lengths to buy this game, get their hands on this game. Both this game and its sequel were on release in the United States, but fully translated by fans. And because it was on release in the United States and is only released in Japan and other areas, and it's never been re-released on the Virtual Console or the Wii or anything, this game can still run you up to $200 used, and new in box can even be from $500 to $600. Next up is International Superstar Soccer Deluxe. In 1995, Konami released two International Superstar games, the International Superstar and the International Superstar Deluxe. The Deluxe version included co-op play versus the computer and improved graphics and better AI, and it was just overall better. Because it cost $20 more, it did not sell very well, also very late in the Super Nintendo life cycle. It was coming out in 1995, like I said. Because of all these factors, it did not sell very well, and it's a very rare and sought-after game. It's selling upwards of $160 used, and a new price can run you up to $350. Next up is Terrangama. I probably pronounced that wrong, but it's an action role-playing game that released at the Super Nintendo Famicom in Japan for the Super Nintendo in Europe and Australia. The game was never released in the United States by its publisher Enix, a company that makes video game reproductions, made the version available in the United States. The cartridge looks exactly like the Super Nintendo copy, but is not the same. However, copies of this are being sold brand new today for $60, but however are being marketed as rare games, even though they're not, because they're reproductions, so look out for that. Next up on the list is Star Fox Super Weekend Competition Cartridge. which is another cartridge that Nintendo made specifically for competitions. They did a lot of this in the early 1990s. The Star Fox competition cartridge was hosted by toy stores across the country when Star Fox was released in 1993. The game was only allowed 4 minutes of gameplay and included 3 levels, 2 of which were shortened versions of Corneria and Asteroids that were originally on the game, but a 3rd level was just designed specifically for this cartridge, so making it very cool. However, after the competition was complete, Nintendo sold the cartridges to Nintendo Power subscribers through the catalog and originally sold for $45. Now these cartridges can sell upwards of 400, 500 used, and if it has the manual with it and the box, can see upwards of $1,000. Again, another competition one was in 1985, the Blockbuster competition version of Donkey Kong Country cartridge rolled out in all stores, Blockbuster stores in 1985 to this competition where it only had 5 minutes of gameplay before the high score was taken, and you got 5 minutes to get the high score, and the highest score was crowned, and they gave a lot of prizes out. But however, again, after the competition was completed, they sold all of these to Nintendo Power catalog. However, they only sold 2,500 copies of this were ever made, so however many are left are pretty scarce. So a new price of this game, or used price, excuse me, is about $800 if you can find it. Very rare game. Our next rare game is the Excitement Mountain Bike Rally Speed Racer Combo cassette. Now, back in the day, Nintendo made a special stationary bike controller where you could pedal on how control how fast your character would go, and it also had you could add these steering things onto your handlebars that would control your direction. However, only 2 games were developed for this technology, which you see here, and there was a combination disc or cartridge which was officially licensed by Nintendo but never made it into stores. Most of the copies available today were found in a Nintendo warehouse. The exact estimate of how many copies were found, though, is between 1 to 2,000, making this game very sought after and very, very rare. A used price of this game can run you up to $800, and a new in-box will run you up to $2,000. Our next super rare game is the Max Multi-Purpose Arcade Combat Simulator, which was developed for the United States Army to help train soldiers on M16 accuracy. The game actually included a gun that was identical in weight and size to the real M16, but it uses the same technology as the Super Scope, so it can be used on a TV. The exact number of copies originally made for this game is unknown. However, when the game comes up, it's very infrequently, and it fetches top dollar. The last sale for it was around $2,000, and I don't even know if there are any new in-box versions of this game, as it was never released to the public, making it very sought after, though. And finally, our rarest game is a Nintendo PowerFest 1994 cartridge. Now, PowerFest 1994 was a national-wide video game competition hosted by Nintendo to market their Super Nintendo console. For this competition, Nintendo made a unique cartridge with 3 games on it. The games were Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart, and Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball on it. Players would compete to get high scores, beating the first level of Mario, finishing the first track of Mario Kart, and hitting as many home runs as possible as Ken Griffey Jr. Only one of these cartridges still exists today. The rest were destroyed by Nintendo after the competition was finished. It was originally found at a garage sale, believe it or not, by a collector, and sold for $10,000. There's only one copy known of this, making it the rarest and most sought after game of all time for the Super Nintendo. Thank you guys so much for watching this, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, guys, have a great time game the fuck on. Until next time, guys, make sure you guys leave a like on this video. Also, tell me what system should be next for rare games. I have a whole list of things we do here. We have Game Boy Advance, where we can switch over to PlayStation or Sega and do rare games over there. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, have a great day. Game the fuck on. I'll see you next time, guys. Peace out.